Welcome to Trust Talks with BBB Serving CT. I'm Kristen Johnson. In business, trust talks, and Better Business Bureau's mission is to enhance marketplace trust. In each one of our episodes, we hope to give you a better idea of what to look for, what to look out for, and what to expect so you can spend your money wisely and avoid being scammed. Wedding bells are in the air, and today we are going to have some fun. We're taking advice from 3 accredited business owners in the industry, all based right here in Connecticut. To learn how to get hitched without a hitch, we welcome wedding planner Lisa Antonecchia of Creative Concepts by Lisa. Welcome.
Hi there, Kristen.
We brought our dancing shoes as well because we have the owner of John Cadillac Seville's entertainment company. John Cadillac Seville.
Rest good to see you.
Today. Thank you. And plus, to make sure your day is picture perfect, Marita Bayati, owner of Marita B Photography, is joining us.
Yes, happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, let's get right into it. We've got a lot of questions, lots to cover. Tell us each a little bit about our business. We're going to go right down the line. Lisa, I'll start with you. Tell me about your business and what your top tip is for couples.
So I own Creative Concepts by Lisa. I'm a full service wedding planner and designer, but we also do all types of events from bar and bat mitzvahs and beyond. And I think my tip is hire me. My first tip is, I brought the jokes. The first tip is to really know what your budget is before you even begin this process. Knowing where your financial stability is when it comes to your wedding helps you to make smart decisions.
Okay, John, what about you?
We always bring the fun. I mean, our style is classy and fun. We've been doing this for a long, long time. I have 5 DJs in our company right now as a team. And we just have a blast. We love working with couples, no matter what genre of music it may be. But we just say, go out there, chill out, have some fun, and it's the most special day of your life. Let's have fun, and that's what we do.
Well, we've had fun a little bit just sitting here so far, so thanks, John. And Marita, tell me a little bit about your business and what your tip is for couples.
Yes, so I'm Marita Bayati from Marita B Photography, and I'm here to capture the most important memories of your day, right? So one of my top tips for couples is to do your research and plan ahead. The earlier you get started on hiring a photographer, the better, because you want to scout out the one that fits your personality the most for that day, because you're spending the entire day with these people, right? So you become friends, you become like family at the end of the day. So you want to make sure you have the right fit. Also, budget is definitely important as well. Know your budget so you can see like what's important to capture the most ahead of time. And again, do your research.
Yeah, you're right. You do spend a lot of time with your photographers on your wedding day. Lisa, I want to go back to you now. You're a wedding planner. Why should couples hire a wedding planner? Some people go out on their own. Why should they hire a wedding planner?
Well, wedding planning today is different than it was when I started as a waitress many years ago when I was in college. At that point, women graduated college, and the next 2 years of their life, their job was almost planning their wedding with their mom. Whether they were going to go off and have a career or not, their focus was solely on their wedding. Mm-hmm. What we've noticed today is a lot of women that we work with are doctors, they're attorneys, they're getting their PhD. They have other things that are compacting their lives and impacting their lives. So having somebody that is in charge of the destiny of the day, if you will, and leading the charge on their behalf is super important. So hiring a planner from the beginning that you can be honest with about your goals, about your style, about what you personally want, and have that person lead the team is a great example of why you should have a planner today.
I've heard a wedding coordinator and I've heard of wedding planner. What's the difference? Or are they
completely different? Okay. So when you go to a venue and you've seen it, there is a person there who represents the venue, and they are the wedding coordinator for the day. But their job is really to make sure what happens inside those 4 walls is taken care of. Mm-hmm. When I'm there, my goal is the couple and making sure that what I know they want takes center stage, right? So both jobs are very important and you need both people, but they are not at all the same thing. So I always warn couples, if you go into a venue or if you hire a caterer that says, we have an on-site coordinator, it is not the same. I give this example often. I will go with you to pick out your dress, to learn how to bustle your dress, to go to the tuxedo shop. I will stuff, stamp, and mail your invitations. I will make those welcome bags for your hotel. The coordinator at a venue is not doing that. It is a very different job. Again, both very necessary, but completely different.
Okay. Let's quickly run through a timeline of important events. You know, when do you contact the venue, especially if you're not using a wedding planner? When do you contact the caterer? That sort of thing.
So your venue is most important that you book first. That's going to be 50 to 60% of the overall cost of your wedding. That's especially if the food is included. If it's just the venue and the caterer, you need to do those simultaneously at the beginning. And that's about a year to 18 months in advance, especially if you want that Saturday night. We all know all couples say, I need to have a Saturday night. If you're more flexible and you can do a Thursday, Friday, or Sunday, not only will you have more options, but you might get a price break, which is nice too. So doing that 18 months out is super important. From there, we do have a list, and we typically go through who's your entertainer and who's your photographer. Those are actually the next two ones that we like to look at with our clients. From there, we go down the remaining balance of what your needs are. But remember that 50 to 60% cost is super important to get early, because then we have your working budget for the rest of your desires and your needs.
Okay. So we've got our venue. Let's talk music. John, the DJ plays a huge part in making your wedding a success. And BBB does have some tips. I want you to weigh in on these.
Sure.
So first is decide what you want from a DJ. Do you want a nightclub DJ who will pack the floor, one that will act as an MC? I mean, communicating what you want is vitally important, isn't it? What kind of conversations?
You really have to make it all about them. And I have different DJs, different styles, different genres, whatever people need. But the bottom line is listening to what people want. And you have to be a chameleon in this business. You have to be able to adapt. So I've done hip hop weddings, I've done country weddings, I've done theme weddings, Great Gatsby weddings, whatever it may be. But the whole thing, you know, Kristen, is people want to have fun. And they want a DJ who's going to be fun. We're going to be there early. We're going to communicate with you. I can tell you this, I'm always going to be the first person to get back to you. Of anybody you call, especially in the entertainment business. And so many people say, God, you get back to me. Because customer service, as we know nowadays, is really lacking in a lot of ways. So you need to let people know that you want to be there for them. And we're going to guide them every step of the way, from the beginning to the end. So by the time the wedding is over, I'm a member of the family. Each and every time, whether they like it or not, I'm a member of the family. But it's just so important to let them know that it's all about them.
Our next tip, speaking of family, shop around, search for BBB accredited DJs, and ask your friends and family members for recommendations, then interview and get pricing from at least 3 DJs. How much of your business comes from recommendations?
I would say a lot, because we've been doing this for a long time now. I've DJ'd over 2,500 weddings, personally, not counting my team, and it's still fun. It's still fun. You have to keep yourself relevant, keep yourself hip in what's happening now. But I think what we bring when I bring the event is I can appeal to all different generations, from grandparents all the way down to kids of today, and still be relatable to them. And you really need to do that. But I think research is really the key. And that's why it's really important. Go to Wedding Wire, go to The Knot, go to Google. And in all of our years, we've never had anything less than a 5-star review. And many of our customers say, if we can give you a 10-star review, we give that to you. So I always tell my couples, go there and hear what our clients have to say rather than me brag about myself. Listen to what our hundreds and hundreds of clients say about us each and every weekend. And you can't live in your past laurels either. I teach my DJs this too. You have to sell yourself every time out. And the most important event is the one you're doing this coming weekend.
And leave a review at bbb.org, right?
Absolutely.
Your clients leave
Exactly.
a review there. Lastly, do your homework. Request a list of references from your potential DJs. Check out your DJ's website and social media accounts. If their online presence is unprofessional, your DJ's in-person performance may be the same. How big of a factor is social media these days?
I think it's real important. I mean, everybody is on social media nowadays. And when you're there, it's really important you do a good job, because everybody's got a phone and everybody's catching everything out there. But I think it's really important that you put the right message out there and be real. I mean, I use social media a lot for the radio, for the DJ business, other things I'm involved with. And I'm always putting out family stuff because people want to like you. You know, people will do business with you if they really like you and they can trust you. And when you put things out there, especially on social media, there's so much negativity out there nowadays. We're just being who we are. And I think anybody who's ever checked my social media, I think they're going to like what they see.
Well, and DJs, you want to see personality, right? So
personality, and that's been a big help even in the radio biz too.
Marita, it should be easier to know what you're getting when it comes to a photographer, because you can see them, you can see their pictures, right, online. But we know that scammers, and this goes in all really industries, they can steal any picture off the internet and claim it as their own. So how do we know when we're researching photographers that the pictures we're seeing on their website are really the real pictures that they took?
Right. It is very hard to tell at times, but one of the things that I tell the couples is to check for consistency in your work. You know, look at other styles that they've done. If they've shot maternity, if they shot other portraits, what is the common consistency? Do they all kind of look the same quality? Check their social media as well. Check those reviews from the BBB. Check, you know, Google as well. But also there's something on Google that you can check. It's like it's like a reverse image search. So you can put the image from their website, right? Upload it to this Google search. Yep. And if it pops up in multiple other places, or if it pops up on another person's website, and then you're like, okay, if that one pops up, try a couple more. That means after that, if they've shown up, somebody stole someone's photos. That's right. I doubt the same photographer is going to have, you know, the same photos. So that's a red flag right there.
Now, BBB recommends you interview photographers before choosing one. What questions do you recommend couples ask?
Yeah, so one of the top things I say is, what style of photography are you doing? Are you doing journalistic style photos, documentary style photos? What equipment are you bringing? How are you receiving the photos? Because we know things have changed in past years. Someone recently just asked me, can I get a CD? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't had anyone ask me for a CD in years. Yeah. Typically, it's been an online gallery now, but you know, special requests I am willing to do. So yeah, it's important to find those things out. Do you have a contract? Is there liability insurance? Because you know what, mistakes can happen. You might lose those photos. God forbid. Oh gosh. I haven't personally done it, but I've heard of my fellow photographers that have lost photos and they've had to give money back. So you want to make sure like what's in place if some of these tragic things happen. You know, it's the most important day. So
and we also recommend you get at least 3 estimates, and then you compare pricing and what's included in their packages, because it can be difficult to compare apples to apples sometimes with photography.
Absolutely.
packages.
But once you've found a photographer that you really, really like, here's what I say. 1, you get what you pay for. And if you really, really want to use a particular photographer, sometimes you can negotiate on pricing, but at the same time, you don't want to skip out, because listen, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. It's your wedding day, right? So you don't want to go cheap and have the photographer be the least expensive thing that you pay for. No, you want to spend money to get what you really want and make sure you capture those memories. And a lot of times the photographer comes with a second shooter or an assistant. So you want to ask those questions as well. And again, you have to prioritize what's important to capture, because some people tell me, hey, you don't have to come early in the morning to get like the getting ready or the first look. Maybe show up just for the ceremony, the bridal party photos, and then the reception. So that's a shorter day if I'm not showing up early in the morning. So think about your budget and realistically what you can take away if you want to, you know, you're more on a budget and you're like, let's not add that part, right? It makes it a 10-hour day, go from like to an 8-hour day. So just think about those things. But again, don't expect a photographer to be there with you from morning to night and not want to pay the price for it.
and photography and videography are one of the most expensive parts of a wedding. That seems to be a really good tip to keep costs down. John, do you have any tips to keep costs down when hiring a DJ or entertainment?
I work with people. I mean, being the owner of the business, I can come up with that depending on the time of the week. I might be a different price in a time of the year. I'll work with people on that. So I sit with them, but I do have a certain price that I charge. And like you were saying too, you do get what you pay for. It's something you've earned, you've worked for over the years, because you know you do have the liability insurance, you do have all that, the back that you do have employees, you do have extra people in your team. But at the same time, I am flexible. I do work. That's been my style to work with people.
And Lisa, any tips, any cost-saving advice for couples?
Cut your guest list. I mean, when it comes to it, again, my very first statement, your food and beverage is going to be a tremendous amount of the cost. So if you're inviting, we have a wedding this year where their guest list is 350 people.
Wow.
They came to me knowing that this was going to be an expensive day. and they wanted to invite 350 people. If you have a specific budget, you can look at your guest list and say, can we cut this to that 75 to 100 people? Because, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier, comparing a DJ is not apples to apples. DJs are independent contractors and sole proprietors. John can charge what John wants to charge and should be allowed, right? He may not charge the same thing as Joey the DJ, right? Same thing from a photography perspective. It's not apples to apples. So you do have to do your research and see who fits within your budget as well. And that's a big part of it. And again, if you're working with a planner, that's one of our goals from the beginning. Know your budget and be able to help you to find the vendors that fit in that budget as well.
And what percent of the budget goes towards the wedding planner? How much of that should be?
So, okay, that's a great question. Again, not apples to apples, right? Right here in Connecticut, I can name a group of young women who charge over $25,000 to be your wedding planner. I can also name a group of people that charge closer to $8,000 to be your wedding planner. As you said, we earn our money, we work hard.
Yep.
I am neither the 25 nor am I the 8.
Okay.
I'm in a happy medium. So here in Connecticut, it usually is not a percentage-based business, but when you go into one of the major cities like a New York, a Miami, an LA, they take a percentage on top of what you're already paying them. Usually it's 10% of the overall cost of the wedding. So Connecticut, you're lucky.
Okay, I've got a fun question. Let's talk trends. Lisa, what are some wedding trends? And you guys prepare yourselves because you're getting this question next. What are some fun trends that you're seeing in weddings right now?
I think the trends are everything old is new again.
Yes, indeed.
So wedding cake went bye-bye for many years. We are now back to having a beautiful signature wedding cake that is truly a piece of art. And I love adding to that. Ask your grandparents to use their cake knife and server. Ask your parents to use their champagne toasting flutes. Bring in a piece that's an homage to them and have that iconic cake. We could go on with trends. It can drive you to insanity to keep up with the trends. But for me, it's really about bringing in something old that you can look at and say that was iconic in your day.
And it's so special, just like you said, if it's something from your family, no one else
agree.
will have it.
That's what I think.
It's unique. John, any new trends in wedding entertainment? DJs
Interesting you
obviously,
say-
they
interesting
do
you
more
say
than
that,
just
too.
play the music.
Oh, absolutely. And I like the fact that so many of these couples that I'm DJing their weddings for now, I DJ'd their parents' weddings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of that, like the cakes are coming back.
Yes.
We're doing a lot of cupcakes for a while,
Yep.
which has been there, but we're getting more of the wedding cake to
It's
come
true.
back. And like you were saying too, we were talking off air about this, everything old is new again.
Yep.
And it's making what we do so much easier because the music is bringing all the generations together. When you're playing the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, everybody seems to be into that no matter what. Grandma likes it,
Yeah.
the 8-year-old likes it, and it's just so much joy.
Yes.
And my job as a DJ is to bring people together.
Yeah.
You don't want to polarize people to wedding day. So when I'm looking out there, I'm just looking who's sitting down, who's not, who's dancing. I'll go out there, I'll monitor the volume. Is the volume okay, especially during dinner and cocktail hour? And just, is there anything you want to hear? So by the time people leave, they say, God, this guy really cared. And that's what you want. You want people to really feel that you care about them.
Okay.
You're not just there to collect a paycheck, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And Marita, what about you? What trends are you seeing in photography?
There's been some really unique and fun things that I've seen. One is the smoke bomb. So I don't know if you've seen the different colors.
Oh, sure,
Smoke bombs.
sure.
Those are really, really fun.
Yeah,
I'll
they
pop a
are
picture
fun.
And they
up
make
for
good
you to see.
pictures.
Yes, absolutely. Grand exits like the sparklers are still happening, which is cute. I like that as
Yeah.
well. Some venues you have to ask ahead of time, what can you do at certain venues? And then also drone photography is becoming more and more popular.
Yes.
Big time.
Especially when you're outside and you're doing an outdoor wedding,
Yes.
being able to look over the crowd and, see yourself and do that kiss like right above.
It's a great effect.
Yeah,
People love it.
That's really fun. Candids, as far as like the cameras, some people will bring disposable cameras because everybody's like there with their cell phone. But Some people have like the disposable cameras
The
on the
old
table
Informatics, remember?
and ask everybody to like,
Yeah.
take their own, drop them in the bucket, and they can go
Right.
get those developed later. So those are fun as well.
Rita, I want to stay with you. It's always important to ask questions. I think you've all said that when you're interviewing potential vendors, you ask questions. What's the most common question you get, and what questions should couples be asking more often?
One, again, like the style, what equipment I'm bringing the day of. They ask me if I'm bringing a second shooter, an entire team. Depending on the size of the wedding, yes, I do. One of the things, too, it's about feeding your vendors. I wanted to bring that up really quickly as well. A lot of times, and some people have asked me, is it something they should do to feed the vendor? I say yes. Your photographer and the second shooter or assistant should all be included in the meal as well, because it's a really, really, really long day. And sometimes they're starving, helping you out all day. And I try to have snacks in my bag. But yeah, that's one of the things. And then contracts, what's included. We talked about that briefly earlier, but make sure you list out every single thing that is included in the day of. Again, how many photos am I getting? How am I receiving those photos after the fact? Again, how many shooters are you bringing with you? What are we shooting with? Like, what are you capturing? Because you might have discussed it briefly. You want to have multiple phone calls and then list all of that in the contract. And again, insurance is definitely important as well for the liability.
John, any questions that you wish more couples asked?
I always tell people, let's be honest. I mean, there's no such thing as a bad question. I said, let's just lay it all out. I just want to make sure people are happy, and I'll say, listen, what exactly are you expecting that day? Well, we just want a whole bunch of fun, and we're going to bring that fun each and every time. But there's no off-base questions at all, and I'll work with people on whatever they're looking for. It's all about them. And we just kind of map it out. And I kind of go through the entire day with them ahead of time. I get them to do some dream building. When I'm together with a client, I'm always assuming the sale. I'm assuming I'm already there. So when we get together that day and I come there and I'm early and I'm greeting you and I give you a big hug, we give each other a high five. This is going to be a great day. And it's going to be a great day because we've already made the decision. And people like when they meet with me because they love the positive energy.
Yes.
Do people come with you with requests? Do you let them just give you a whole playlist? Or do you like to have the freedom to kind of, like you were saying, see who's sitting down, what people might like? What about a request?
It's their day. I'm there to serve them. Yes. So I say, listen, give me a list of a bunch of your favorite songs.
Okay.
And then maybe asterisk, maybe 15, 20 songs that are must plays. And I'll use my professional judgment about when to drop them there. But they should have a say with it. Then I ask them, is it okay if the guests come in and request?
Right.
Some people say yes, some people say no. And of course, I use artistic judgment.
Okay. Yeah. And then Lisa, what about you? What is the most common question you get, and what question are couples forgetting to ask?
Well, I think, I might sound like a broken record here, but I think for me, it's about also the honesty about coming in with your budget in advance, but also a question, maybe not so much as a request, would be that the day is truly how they imagine. So you asked this great question about trends. And I've noticed that some couples get very caught up in the trends.
Okay.
So for me, is that trend important to you personally, or are you caught up in it because you saw it on social media?
Yes.
Exactly.
And I think often what I'll learn is in that conversation is that they did get caught up in it because it's on social media. So we like to sit down and create bullet points, which is our must-haves versus what we can live without and what is on the dream list.
Right.
And then we put that together to really create a day that is truly unique and their own and not a carbon copy of what they've seen on social media.
Gotcha. Do you have specific vendors that you work with, or do you recommend that they go out and do their own research?
So if you're hiring a planner, one of the things that you're hiring them for is the amount of years that they've cultivated these different people, right? So having said that, we just met for the first time today and we've worked together in the past,
Countless
right?
times.
Yeah.
So having said that, I like meeting new people so that I know when a couple comes in and I can look at I currently have 14 photographers on my list.
Okay.
Maybe one of those photographers I don't really feel is the right fit. And now I can go out into the world and say, you know what? I met this amazing person and we're going to sit down and talk. And now I'm bringing in a new person. But starting with me, you already have that list of people that has been vetted, that has been tried, and that we've gotten reviews from our own couples. And to be truthful, my list changes constantly. So I add new people and I take away some people, because at the end of the day, it's my reputation based on who I refer as well. And that's important.
I hate to say it, but we're already running out of time.
Oh,
But
wow.
I do have another question that I want to ask all of you. We'll start with John. It has to do with your BBB accreditation. I want to know why you sought out BBB accreditation and what you hope it says to your clients, or what do you hope it says about your business?
High standards. I mean, the BBB has high standards. I've worked with the BBB. I've been inside the building. I've done some. I've met your people.
Yeah.
Everybody's so top notch. And when you mention accreditation, people want to know. It's like, do you have insurance? Do you have this and that? But BBB is insurance of quality. It just puts a quality stamp on my business. And I think it's so important to have that stamp. And I'm sure it's helped me attract audience and also secure business as well. So I'm just thrilled to be a part of the BBB.
Thank you, Marita.
Yeah, so when I've always seen someone had the BBB behind their name, it was a level of trust and comfort for me as well. And my father was a business owner for many years, and he had it as well. And so that's what I automatically know. I'm like, yep, they're good people if they're, if they have the BBB behind them, if they're accredited. So it's just a level of comfort and trust for sure.
Okay, and Lisa?
I have to agree. I grew up in a family where we owned multiple small businesses. And whether it was my grandparents or my father, everybody was a member of the BBB. So when I opened my own business, it just seemed like you're supposed to do that. And I immediately, sought that out. But I also think, to John's point, in our industry, people tend to go online and join, again, things like Wedding Wire and The Knot and different online organizations. But as a business owner, the BBB is another level that shows that you really are a professional.
Absolutely.
Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I think all of the audience has as well. So thank all three of you for being with us and for all of your tips. BBB has a couple of other tips that I want to share with everyone who's watching. We recommend you check how long the business has been operating and find out how many people still use their services. And if you met a vendor at a wedding expo, double check their prices haven't changed. Make sure the store you're purchasing your dress from knows your timeline, so there's time for alterations for the entire wedding party. When it comes to musicians, don't rely on a website or phone conversation. Find out where you can hear the musicians play before you hire them. As your photographer, ask your photographer when and how your pictures will be delivered and whether others will be able to look at them or print them out. Pay with a credit card so you can dispute any charges if there's a problem, and confirm all services 1 to 2 weeks prior to the event. Again, thank you to Lisa, John, and Marita for being with us today so much. What does Better Business Bureau have in common with marriage? Trust. Trust is the cornerstone of marriage, and it should also be of your wedding. So start with trust when wedding bells are ringing at bbb.org. That does it for Trust Talks. We thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.